Hey everybody, this is Case Duckworth with the East Baton Rouge Parish Library Career Center, and today we're going to talk about references, finding people to be references for you, asking them to provide you as a reference, and showing those people to your employer. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we want to find out is, why do employers ask for references? Well, first thing is they want to make sure that you're telling the truth on your application, your resume, and your cover letter. Even though we know that you're trustworthy and you know that you're trustworthy, employers get a whole lot of people who apply to their jobs all the time who just aren't. So they want to make sure about that by getting a couple of other people to kind of back up your story. Another thing they want to do is they want to ask your coworkers how well you work with other people, because they want to make sure that their team is going to be put together well, and it's going to be harmonious, and they're going to work well together. So they like to ask the other people that you work with now how well you work with them. And they also like to know how well you have made an impression at your current job and at your previous jobs. They want to know what your bosses think of you, because it's kind of like if you're going to buy a new car, you want to look at reviews that other people bought it from. You want to talk to other people who have that car. Because let's face it, to an employer, a lot of times we as employees are kind of like a new car. We're an investment for them in their future, but we're also a cost. So that's a big reason why they want to look at references whenever they do, before they hire people. So what's a good reference? Let's see. Well, a couple of good references would be someone like your current supervisor or past supervisor, especially if they think really highly of you. There's sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll get a supervisor who will say, hey, I would love to be a reference for you the next place that you go. The really good bosses understand that, this might not be a forever career for you, and then they want you to succeed. If you're really lucky, you'll get one of those. Definitely use them. But you can use other bosses too, just as long as it's not, someone maybe who fired you or something. Another good reference would be your coworkers, especially if you get along with them well, especially if they're really well spoken. Because coworkers, again, that's going to show you, those prospective employers, how well you work with other people. And someone else too is clients. So if you are a freelancer and you have a lot of clients and you're looking to get into corporate America, or if you're in corporate America and you have clients that you maybe worked with them for a long time on a project, then you could ask them to be a reference, or just anyone that you worked with that could speak to your skills and your abilities and the kind of job that you do well. That's the kind of people you want to do in a reference. Now, of course, we have to have some counterexamples too. What's some not so good references? Like I said on the last slide, if you got fired from a job, it's probably a bad idea to put them as a reference, because the prospective employer is going to call them up and say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so? And they're going to say, we had to let him go because of this reason. And then there you go. That's probably not going to be a good look. So if you get fired, that's kind of just how that goes. Even if, if it wasn't your fault or whatever, it sucks, but you just got to move on. Another bad person is sometimes your grandma. I'm sure your grandma thinks that you're the best person in the whole world, and she loves you a lot, and I'm sure that she would say nothing but good things to your employer, but your employer kind of knows that she's not going to say anything bad about you because she loves you so much. So, unless, if you work for your grandma and, she's very articulate and all that, that's fine. So it all kind of depends, but it's just your grandma who, you go and visit and she gives you cookies, or, you watch Wheel of Fortune with her. It's probably not the best. And also your best friend is maybe not the best person to put on a reference. Again, unless your best friend is someone who you work closely with and they know you really well in a professional capacity. But this best friend right here is probably going to be not a very good reference, even though he is very cute. So let's see now. You might be asking, hey, I'm new to the workforce. I don't have all these references. I haven't worked in a ton of different companies. I don't have a lot of coworkers. Or I'm just out of school. I've just graduated high school. I'm in college. I don't really know. I don't have all these references. Who do I ask? Well, in that case, you can ask your coaches or your teachers, anybody who kind of has that um, uh, supervisory role in your schoolwork or in your teamwork or extracurricular work. They can, if they can speak to your ability to, get things done, follow directions, creative problem solving. That's the kind of stuff that employers are looking for, are those kind of skill sets. So anybody who can speak to those kind of skill sets would be good. Also, if you volunteer, which if you don't, I would recommend starting to volunteer, especially if you're a student. That is really good for college applications if you're in high school, or it's also really good for jobs too, because again, it shows that you know how to do the different things, organizing, leadership, thinking on your feet, that kind of stuff, all very important in professional and in collegiate life. So those are all good people. Now let's see, if we want to prep our references, you don't just want to put somebody's name in an application or on a list and just hope that they get a call or something. You also don't want to put them on that list and then give them a call after you send it and say, hey, by the way, expect a call from this company sometime this week. Because I don't know about you, but I know I don't really like being blindsided like that, and I don't think that your references would be either. And you are asking them to do you a favor. So you want to make sure always to ask their permission. Always, always, always ask your references for permission, and make sure that they say yes before you put their name on anything. This even goes for, I've done it before where I've had people as references for one job, and then I was, maybe a year or two later, I was applying to more jobs, and I would ask them again because you just want to make sure that it's okay. Because again, if somebody gets a call out of the blue from an employer, it says, hey, do you know this person? What do you think about them? And they're not expecting it. It's much more likely that they'll say, you know what, I don't know this person anything, and they might not speak of you very highly. So make sure to ask their permission. Now, that's not the only thing you want to do. You also want to prep them to answer these questions that your employer is going to ask. You want to prep them so that they can answer them as well as you want them to. So you want to tell them things like what position you're applying for, so they'll know, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, they can start kind of simmering on what ideas are good, or what things you did that pertain to the job you're applying for. You want to tell them why you're applying. It's kind of the same reason, right? You want to say, hey, I want to apply to this job. It's kind of a promotion, but I've been working on this for a long time. So then they have that at the top of their mind. You're kind of priming the pump in the same way that like marketers will prime people with, images of their products, because then the next time they're in the store, they say, oh, there's a Coke. That's what I want. It's kind of the same thing with this. You're kind of priming your person, your reference, with this idea of who you are and what you're trying to show your employer, so that then they'll reflect that. You also want to say why you'll be good for the job. Because also, again, some of my references, I haven't worked with them for maybe 2 years. So you want to remind them of what you've been doing, what you did when you worked for them. Have a conversation with them. It's okay to do all that. It might feel kind of transactional as you're doing it, but it's really not. Most people don't think of it that way, and most people will be happy to be a reference. I know I've been asked to be a reference once or twice for some students, and it just felt really rewarding because they respected me enough, and they thought that I had enough clout that I could be a good reference for them. So that was really cool, and that's probably how your people will feel too. Of course, they could say no, and if they say no, that's okay too. That just means they're not comfortable with it, but that's fine. And then last thing, make sure you tell them which employers might call them so they know what to expect, because especially nowadays with all the phone scams and all this stuff going on, they might get a phone call from someone and say, oh, I don't know who this is. They might not even answer, or they might hang up right away. That's not a good look either. So make sure to tell them which employers are calling them. And again, ask their permission. I cannot stress that enough. Always, always, always ask their permission. So let's say you have a list of like 3 references. That's the magic number, is 3. We want to know how to format those references for an employer on the sheet. So you're going to open it up. You can open up like a Word document or something, and you're going to do it like here on the right. So you basically just list all your references out on a sheet with their name, contact information, that's a phone number, an email usually, Just make it really easy for your prospective employer to give them a call. You want to give them a title. You want to tell what their company is, and you also want to have your relationship to you, especially if it's not obvious on your resume. So like on this reference sheet with Joe Cool, I didn't write down what his relationship was to me, because on my resume it says that I was a junior developer at the company. Of course, it's never a bad idea to include that information. So, if he was your direct supervisor, I could just put direct supervisor right there. So yeah, whatever you want to do. But this is a good way to format it. It looks really nice and clean. It looks professional, and that'll really go a long way with your prospective employers. And then you're going to send that off to them whenever they ask for it. It depends kind of when in the application process. Sometimes an employer will ask for references right away. Don't just offer them up. Wait until they ask for them. But yeah, sometimes they ask for them right away. Sometimes they'll ask for them whenever they ask for an interview with you. They'll say, hey, bring your references too. It depends, but just wait until they ask for them, and then you want to print out this sheet and just give it to them then. But yeah, and then that's about it. Make sure to thank your references too at the end after you've done it, because that's really a big thing. That's really helpful for you, and that's a really big favor they've done. So make sure to say thank you to your references, and thank you guys for listening today. It was really great to talk to you, and best of luck in your job search. If you like this video, make sure to hit like on YouTube. If you'd like to see more like it, hit subscribe or ring that bell. But yeah, this is the Career Center. My name's Case Duckworth. I'll catch you all next time.